In this video, we will go over the bone markings of the skull. These bone markings can show where muscles, ligaments, and tendons attach to bone. They also show where bones form joints with other bones or blood vessels and nerves pass through. Markings can be categorized into two major groups. 1. Projections, which are protrusions of the bone, and 2. Depressions, which are indentations or openings, which are the holes. Let's start with an inferior view of the skull, looking at the occipital bone. We have the magnum foramen. Foramen means round or oval hole. We have occipital condyles. Condyle means rounded projection. You have two occipital condyles, one on either side of the magnum foramen. If we move to the temporal bone, we have the external acoustic meatus, which leads to your eardrum. Then there are several processes for muscle attachment. We have mastoid process, styloid process, zygomatic process, and finally we have the mandibular fossa, which is this indentation. Now let's take a look at the deep view of the skull. We will look at the ethmoid bone and sphenoid bone. On the ethmoid bone, we have the crista galli, which is the tiny ridge projecting upward, cribriform plate, which is this flat surface. On the cribriform plate, you find these tiny holes called the olfactory foramina. Foramen means hole. These tiny holes are for smelling odor molecules. On the sphenoid bone, we have the sella turcica, foramen ovale, which is the oval opening, optic canal, which is the opening to the eye socket. On the maxilla, you have the alveolar margin, which is your gum line that has the sockets for your teeth. If you look at the mandible, you have another alveolar margin. Let's continue with the mandible from a lateral view. Here is the ramus, the mandibular condyle, which is the projection that articulates with the mandibular fossa of the temporal bone, and the coronoid process. If you look at the lower jaw, you will see the mandibular foramen on the ramus. The mandibular foramen is important for nerves to pass through for tooth sensation.